What's going on, guys? Merce YT13 here, and we are back finally for another episode of WWE Match of the Week and my Raw review. It's a little bit late this week due to me being away and not being able to see Raw until today, which is Friday. Work things, life things get in the way sometimes, but it's here, so I apologise to anyone who may have been waiting for it. Wow, what a week. I just wanted to quickly touch on the biggest issue in wrestling easily at the moment, Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan has been wiped from the WWE, and rightfully so. What he said was horrendous, what he said was unforgivable. Sure, he was in the worst and darkest moment of his life, but there isn't any excuse for these sorts of things. The fact that he didn't know he was being filmed makes it even worse, in my opinion. I don't think it's worth really wasting too much time talking about. I'm just really disappointed. I think it'd be best for Hulk just to stay off of social media. I think he's just stoking the fire. I know he's retweeted a few photos that weren't the people that they were saying. I know there was a few famous footballers and things like that. Pictures of them being sent in. Hulk, just stay off social media. You've really screwed up and you've disappointed a lot of people, and I don't think you need to be of colour to be offended by what he said. I'm extremely offended by what he said, and I don't think it should be tolerated, and I think the WWE did the right thing. But as I said, I don't want to waste too much time talking about that because it's a negative topic. So, with that out of the way, we kicked off Raw in a fairly typical fashion. It was an authority promo. They revealed that SummerSlam will be 4 hours. I really hope they have some compelling stuff planned for SummerSlam, because to me 3 hours is way too long for Raw. So SummerSlam being 4 hours, it'll have to be a seriously stacked card to fill that time properly and keep us all entertained, because man, that is a hell of a long time. This segment was largely used just to set up all of the matches for the night. It served its purpose. They say it'll be a night of firsts and set up a bunch of pretty good matches. We got what did we get? Orton. We got Orton and Owens announced. We got Dean Ambrose and Big Show announced, I think it was. So there was a couple of good matches that I was intrigued about, at least. Then after that, Seth grabbed the mic and he cut a promo in very typical Seth Rollins fashion. He referred to himself as the greatest champion ever. And that got great heat from the crowd, as you can imagine, because he's clearly not. I think he could be if he was booked right, but he's clearly not. But he was then interrupted by John Cena. So it looks as though champion versus champion is in full swing. Cena called Seth a yellow-bellied coward, and he called him a joke. He challenged Rollins to a match for the WWE title. Stephanie teased the match was going to happen, and then pulled it out from under everyone's feet. Typical heel move, even though I think she was a babyface when she was announcing the Divas Revolution just 2 weeks ago, or however long ago it was. Triple H then makes the match. Instead of being for the world title, it's for the US title, so we have our main event. I was looking forward to it. I thought that was going to be a pretty cool match, and I was proven right at the end of the show. Next up, we had Big Show versus Dean Ambrose. Miz on commentary. It's becoming a pretty permanent fixture that Miz is on commentary for these kinds of matches. The guy could literally talk underwater, so I thought it was fine. He's pretty entertaining. I really enjoyed the match itself. I think these guys actually worked pretty well together. It was a really physical match. It ended with a great looking knockout punch as Ambrose was going for the tope suicida to the outside. It looked amazing because Ambrose just has no regard for his body, and he pretty much just flopped from the apron to the floor face first. Good match. Ambrose loses by a count out. I think that's an okay way, and then Ambrose got his heat back at the end of the match because he jumped out of the way of the Big Show going through the barricade. I love that barricade spot. I don't think I'll ever get sick of it. It looks awesome every time. After that, we got Neville versus Fandango. This is a really quick match. It was just to showcase Neville and get him a victory. So in that vein, it served a purpose. He was then interrupted by a really strange noise, which was coming from the mouth of Stardust. There was a reference to Dusty Rhodes' Hard Time promo in this promo. I thought that was really good. The Hard Times promo is one of my favourites ever. And that's a really nice touch, a really nice nod to his dad. There was a reference to Arrow, I think it's called, the show, the green hooded reference. So it looks like SummerSlam could feature the main star of that show. I don't know anything about that show. I've never seen it, so I can't really say much about it. I love Cody Rhodes, man. I think he's amazing. His mic skills are on point. His promos as Stardust are quirky, but they're entertaining. And I really hope they give them plenty of time in a match at SummerSlam and let these guys really showcase what they can do. After that, we moved on, and next up we had Paige versus Sasha Banks. This was a really good contest, man. It was a little clunky at the start, but as they got into it, it became a really, really good match. There were a few shenanigans outside that led to all the entourages being ejected. I thought this was smart. It led to a clean finish, which helped elevate Sasha Banks. This is the way to bring them in, is to get wins, make them look strong. I think they are positioning Sasha as the top 1 or 2. Maybe she's number 2 behind Charlotte in terms of who's going to be the next champion, because Sasha is the women's champion, although you wouldn't have any idea that she was the champion because she doesn't come out with her title. They just refer to her as they refer to her as the NXT Women's Champion, but if you had the TV on mute, you would have no idea that she was a champion, which I've been talking to my good friend Alan Ceedos. He has a Audio Universe mode over on SoundCloud. I'll link it in the description below. Give that a look. It's really cool, and his reviews are really on point. The guy watches literally everything, which I don't have the time to do, so I always catch up on all of the other shows through his reviews. So go and check out him, Alan Ceedos. He's on SoundCloud, and he also has a channel here on YouTube, so make sure you go and check that out. I'll link it in the description. Up next was Rusev and Summer Rae. Another episode of Bold and the Beautiful, Young and the Restless. What happened to Rusev, man? Oh, he used to be a badass, and now he's just a D-grade actor, in my opinion. It's all becoming so hokey and tired. Turning him into a comedy act, and a comedy character gives him a one-way ticket straight back to NXT to do what Tyson Kidd did and to try and revitalise his career. Long story short here, he bought Summer some gifts. He got her a puppy, and he said it was ugly, skinny and neutered, so he'd call it Dog Ziggler. Hilarious. Then he gave Summer a cold, dead, headless fish and said it was like Lana. Again. Absolutely hilarious. It's amazing to me, the decline of Rusev since his program with Cena. This is a guy who made arguably the coolest entrance on the back of a fucking tank at WrestleMania. He was the biggest badass in the company, and now he's in a love triangle in the mid-card. Anyway, Lana then interrupted and got a nice reaction. She came down, she rubbed Summer's face on the fish, she slapped Rusev and left. It served its purpose. It's just filler. And as I said, it's just disappointing to see where Rusev's come from. I know there's a spot on the card for this kind of stuff, but it's just really not for me. I was into it a few weeks ago, but it's just becoming too much of a comedy segment, and it's completely lost me. After that, we got a great tag. I thought this was an underrated tag team match. I read a few reviews during the week saying that this match got like a C rating. I thought this was a great, fun little entertaining match. I think these two teams are very underrated, and they're both extremely entertaining. I really enjoyed the action, and with Titus O'Neil and Darren Young, PTP on commentary is always great. Darren Young was practicing his lines, practicing his his commentary, which was a nice little moment on commentary. New Day ended up interrupting and had their usual shenanigans. It was a cluster, and Kalisto got the roll up. I figure this is probably heading for a multi-team match of some description at SummerSlam, maybe. I'd really like to see New Day get the title back. I think they're phenomenal. I was searching through YouTube, as I do a lot, and if you haven't checked out Xavier Woods' YouTube channel, you really should. It's called Up Up Down Down, and I recommend watching any video with Damien Sandow because it's friggin' hilarious. They're really cool guys, and they're into a lot of the things that we're into, gaming. So if you're watching this channel, you're obviously into gaming. Head over and check out Up Up Down Down. No doubt you probably already have. After that, we then had Bray Wyatt promo. This reaffirmed the reconciliation between Harper and Bray. I love seeing the Wyatts back together. I'd like to see them bring someone else in to make a trio. It doesn't have to be Rowan. I was never really sold on Rowan, but he was an original member, so it probably wouldn't hurt to bring him back. I know he's injured. I think he's got 2 torn biceps, so he's probably at home recuperating. He can't do much. I'd also maybe like to see them bring in 2 or 3 more and have a genuine faction. I really enjoyed the Ministry when it was around with Midian and a few of the other guys, Viscera. I thought it made for a cool edge to the show and someone to be dominant, and Bray could lead them. I think he'd make a really great cult leader, Bray Wyatt. So, I don't know, just throwing a few ideas out there. I would like to see them use Bo Dallas, and you don't have to even refer to him as Bray's brother, but just bring him in as sort of a follower, and you know he's tried this positive thinking, and now he's sort of turned around. You could bring in a number of people. You could grow out a beard. Damien Sandow would be a reasonable option if he sort of took on a more dark persona, because now with all the stuff with Hulk Hogan, Axelmania is dead, so it wouldn't make any sense to have Macho Mandow running around. Damien Sandow, Bo Dallas, there's a couple of ideas. Maybe that's the question of the week. Who would you add to the Wyatt family? Who would you have? Let's say you want 5 members of the Wyatt family. You've already got Luke Harper and you've already got Bray Wyatt. Who would be your other 3 members? Or you can go just who would be the other one. Who would you add to the Wyatt family? That's the question of the week. Basically, Harper says that Bray has saved him and then they're back together. I really like Harper a lot. I liked his promo. He had a cool line. When you pray for rain, you best be prepared for the mud, which is pretty cool. I thought that was pretty ominous. I liked the whole segment as a whole. This feud between Reigns and Wyatt it's building nicely. It's sort of simmering. It was strange that Reigns wasn't on the show at all, but it looks like we're going to get the Wyatts versus Ambrose and Reigns. I think that'll be a great match, and it's good that Dean Ambrose is doing something. He had a good showing against the Big Show, and he's going to get a match at SummerSlam, so that's probably the best we can hope for him at the moment. After that, we then had our second women's match of the night, Charlotte teaming with Becky Lynch against Team Bella. This match was really rushed. I thought it was really strange. It felt like they were shackled a little bit by time constraints, which was a little bit weird on a 3-hour show. You've just got so much time. Surely you can give these chicks some time to tell a story. But it served its purpose. Becky Lynch and Charlotte got the win, and it set up Lynch and Nikki on SmackDown. They also alluded to, they sort of teased it a little bit, that Charlotte being the next challenger to Nikki, which I'm sure is the case maybe for SummerSlam. We'll see, maybe there'll be a tag team match between the other girls, and then I think it has to be a singles match between Charlotte and Nikki, maybe with a cluster. If they absolutely insist on Nikki breaking the record, then I would maybe throw Becky Lynch at her first. I'd make it special and give Charlotte the women's title. In my opinion, would be the best option, because I think she's the most over of all of the group. Anyway, moving on. Next up was Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. This match, it really could have been something. I was pretty excited for it because both of these guys are awesome wrestlers. I would much rather Orton versus Owens at SummerSlam than Sheamus versus Orton for the 200th time at SummerSlam. But, you know, it is what it is, and at the end of this match we got to see Cesaro come out, which is always great. He nailed Sheamus with a wicked uppercut. The match was a schmoz. Sheamus attacked everybody, road kicked everything in sight. It was a schmoz. Out comes Cesaro, uppercut to Sheamus, into a pop-up powerbomb by Kevin Owens, and he says, "Who's the man?" And you are the fucking man, Kevin. And I just wish they would realise that, because this guy is awesome, but somebody back there doesn't like him, because I think not putting him over Cena, I would love to see Kevin Owens in that spot that Cena was in at the top of the show and calling out Seth Rollins. I understand he's not a face and he's trying to play the heel, but I would still like to see him in that spot if it was at all possible. It's moving on. We then had the main event, and they absolutely saved the best for last. This was a friggin' awesome match. I loved it. I love Seth Rollins. If you've listened to my review before, you'll know that I'm a huge Seth Rollins fan. I have been for a long time. This match was unbelievable. And on top of that, I just want to say, John Cena is the best wrestler of 2015, bar absolutely no one. He has really embraced the chance to step up his game against these younger guys, and he has been fantastic. His matches, there has barely been a week in the last 3 months or so, even since WrestleMania, where he has not put on a classic match. This guy has been unbelievable, and I won't go into detail about the match. Just go and watch it if you haven't seen it already. It was amazing. Cena's nose got smeared across his face from a brutal knee from Seth Rollins. I think blood always makes for more drama in a big match like this. Cena's nose looked haggard. It looked absolutely terrible. I understand that he's had emergency surgery since that. He eventually got Seth in the STF and tapped Seth out. They're obviously going through a phase of submission finishes for Cena. I don't know why. It seemed okay because Seth got a lot of offense and he looked really strong. He put in a good showing. He looked like he could beat Cena. So I guess in that way it was good. I thought the match, yeah, as I say, I mean, it was just friggin' awesome. Seth Rollins just performed his ass off. Cena was his usual greatness. As a whole, I thought there was some really great wrestling on this show, and I think that WWE would be really smart producing wrestling-heavy shows, because, after all, that is what we are. We are wrestling fans. But, yeah, that's it. I mean, I've only just watched the show. I'm still sort of processing it, so let me know what you think in the comments. What did you think of the show? The question of the week will be down there as well. But that's it. That's my review for Raw this week. It's a little bit late, and I apologise for that. But as I said, work things, life things, they tend to get in the way. But if you've liked this video, be sure to drop a like. If you feel like commenting down below and getting involved in some of the wrestling chat, I'd like to get some more wrestling chat down there, because I love talking about wrestling. It's one of my favourite things to do, because my girlfriend doesn't like talking about wrestling. None of my friends really like talking about wrestling. So let's talk about wrestling. I want to talk to fellow wrestling fans and get everyone involved. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, from EarthYT13, thanks very much for watching. And I'll catch you on the next one.